Welcome to Simply's Fantasy Football. Today we're going to be spilling the tea on which running backs are going to outperform their average draft position in 2022. So, you may ask, how do I know that? Well, I'm going to get out my crystal ball, make some predictions for the future, and let you know who you should target going into next year. So, hopefully you all got your tea. Let's get into it. So the first guy I want to bring up, and he's kind of had a hype train since he came back from an injury that should have taken him way longer to come back from, Cam Akers. He's been a guy who Sean McVay has been ecstatic about having on his team, a true three-down running back. Sean McVay has been adamant that he is a guy who can help transform their offense for the better. Now, I think a lot of people were on the Cam Akers train, and a lot of people hopped off just as fast as they got on once they saw his performances in the first couple weeks back after his Achilles injury. The reason I feel like that should not be something that should deter people from taking him in 2022 is because look at the defenses that he played. Look at the amount of time he was out from an Achilles injury, which should have put him out until the previous or the next year. If you look at who he played the Bengals, he played the Buccaneers, he played the 49ers, all with very good defenses. That is not to say that a good running back shouldn't do well against very good defenses, but a guy coming off an injury, trying to get his feet wet again, and then he runs into a stout defensive line 3 times in a row in the playoffs. It's just not something that you're going to get every single game going into next year, especially because, in my opinion, the division that Cam Akers is in has gotten a little bit worse. So Cam Akers, Sean McVay loves him. He is not going to be facing as stout of defenses every game as he was facing right when he got back from injury. And he's going to have another offseason under his belt where he gets to rest, where he gets to get his legs back under him. He's going to be fully healthy. He was healthy, obviously, there, else they wouldn't have played him, but he's going to be fully healthy, have a full offseason of training. It's going to be a different Cam Akers than we saw in the playoffs, and it's going to be one who can definitely outperform their ADP going into the next year, even though I do feel like he is kind of high on draft positions. I still believe Cam Akers could definitely outperform those ADPs. So, another guy I really want to talk about, and this is a guy that I might be the most excited about out of the list of running backs that I'm going to say are outperforming their ADP, A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon has been the second fiddle in a two-fiddle band for the Green Bay Packers, and I feel like this year is the year for A.J. Dillon to take the leap forward. Now, you might say, why this year? They still have Aaron Jones under contract. They still like to use them both. Matt LaFleur has shown that he likes to use both of them in the rush and the pass game. Why would A.J. Dillon be taking a step forward this year? Well, let's look at the contract for Aaron Rodgers. He's getting paid a ton of money, and so is Aaron Jones comparatively to other running backs in the NFL. In the offseason, if the Packers can restructure anything, if they can do anything to make them have more cap space to give Aaron Rodgers more weapons that he truly needs, the Green Bay Packers might want to take that opportunity to do it. Giving A.J. Dillon, who's younger, fresher legs, not been as injury prone as Aaron Jones has been in the past. Not saying Aaron Jones is really injury prone, but he's been, the more he progresses, the more he's had injury issues. Aaron Jones is the type of guy who might not be worth the money that they gave him a couple off seasons ago, now that A.J. Dillon has come out of the woodworks and shown that he can handle a big workload. I mean, he had over 180 carries last year. He had 4.5 yards a carry. He was catching the ball at a pretty good rate. He averaged over 9 yards per catch when he was out of the backfield last year catching the ball. So the man can get it done at the running back position. And if you're looking for anything in the NFL, a true three-down running back who can, lift your team to the next level, who you don't have to pay that much, is definitely someone that the Green Bay Packers would probably be interested in developing a little bit further, especially given that maybe they could move on from Aaron Jones this offseason. Now, do I think they're going to cut Aaron Jones completely out of the offense? I think that would be asinine to believe. I think that would be absurd to even say that Aaron Jones is going to be kicked out of the offense completely, because he is still a very talented, very special player with special abilities. But A.J. Dillon can do just about everything that Aaron Jones can do. He proved that last year. He's going to prove it again this year, and I think he's going to take a leap forward, really be in that RB2 category, because the Green Bay Packers can definitely carry them. The weapons that they have on offense right now are a little lackluster, so Aaron Rodgers will probably be leaning on the guys that he is comfortable with, familiar with. That's just how Aaron Rodgers has always been. So the running back tandem that is in Green Bay is definitely going to be one going forward to monitor, but I think A.J. Dillon will be the 1A to the 1B in Green Bay this year, worth owning in a lot of leagues. The third running back that I would like to discuss is a running back that is on an up-and-coming offense in the NFL, one who doesn't play in the greatest of divisions, but has a quarterback who's young, has some wide receivers around him who are young, has a potential to grow in this offense with the pieces around him. I'm talking about Michael Carter. Michael Carter has definitely shown glimpses of being a solid NFL running back. He has had some weeks where he has caught a handful of passes, shown he can do it out of the backfield, shown when he's given space he can run. The Jets really haven't given him much room to wiggle. So the Jets probably going to address their offensive line in this year's draft, maybe even in the offseason a little bit more as well. They are going to show that they are serious about developing Zach Wilson, developing Elijah Moore, developing these guys that they have put their draft stock into, and believe it or not, I think that the Jets could take a big leap forward this year as far on the offensive side of the ball. So if that's the case, Michael Carter is the running back there, is the guy there. I don't see anybody really taking any major work from Michael Carter this year. They didn't really sign anybody. I don't see them drafting anybody because they have too many needs that are not running back right now to address the running back room. So Michael Carter, definitely a guy I'd be monitoring, taking probably around his ADP, and you could definitely see a very good return on investment this upcoming offseason. So we have A.J. Dillon, we have Cam Akers, we have Michael Carter, and last but not least, we have James Robinson. James Robinson has been a running back you could not ask for more from. He has been a guy who has really rung the bell anytime you've needed it rung. So James Robinson has been a guy who many people are overlooking this year simply because of the addition of Travis Etienne to the offense. And Travis Etienne, if you saw when he came in, Urban Meyer was putting him in the wide receiver room. They were kind of throwing him around in different roles because he is kind of a unicorn of a running back. He showed that at Clemson. He showed that obviously in practice to some of the NFL coaches. Not saying Urban Meyer knew what he was doing with him, but they definitely wanted to still use James Robinson, utilize his skill set in the NFL without having to put too much pressure on Travis Etienne. I think that James Robinson, with what he's proven in the last couple of years, will definitely still be the guy for the first couple downs, will definitely still be a guy that someone's going to have to take carries away from. Whether Etienne does that or not this year is yet to be seen, but Etienne is definitely going to have his work cut out for him because James Robinson has averaged like 4.5 yards a carry last year. He had over 800 yards rushing. He had 1,000 yards from scrimmage last year, so it's definitely going to be a guy worth including in your offense. You don't just take a guy like James Robinson out of the fold because a guy like Travis Etienne is there. You definitely want to utilize both of them. I think this year they have definitely upgraded the offensive line for both Trevor Lawrence for the run game in Travis Etienne and James Robinson, but I think James Robinson still is the guy to beat out in that offense, especially with Etienne coming off of that big injury that he had last year that left him sidelined in the 2021 season. So James Robinson, good NFL running back, above average NFL running back, shown he can do it, has more help now. Etienne is coming back, but I think if anything, maybe it will help give him a little bit of a breather, and definitely could be a 1A, 1B situation in Jacksonville. Most don't see coming, like they probably didn't see the 1A, 1B Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon situation coming last year. So we could see the same kind of output from those two running backs next year if the Jacksonville Jaguars offense takes the leap forward that I think they will take from year 1 to year 2 with Trevor Lawrence, with their new wide receiver room with Kirk, with Evan Ingram, with James Robinson, with Travis Etienne, with these guys that they're adding to the fold. I think that they're definitely trying to give Trevor Lawrence the weapons around him to help him be a successful quarterback they thought he was going to be coming out of Clemson. So there are 4 guys that I'm definitely going to be targeting because I think that they are undervalued in the eyes of the fantasy community in 2022, and I think that they are definitely going to be worth having because the draft price you pay for them is definitely lower than what you'd have to pay for some other guys that are going to have a similar, if not worse, fantasy output going into next year. So let me know if you guys think I'm wrong. Let me know if you think I'm crazy on some of my takes. If you do, that's okay. Let me know who you think is going to be a riser. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you on the next time with your teas on Simply's Fantasy Football.